Hello, everybody. Mike from Southern California again. It's Friday, February the 21st, 2020, and you're on the mic. So, first up, let me give a quick little update here because I did mention over the past couple of days that when Nick did his stream on the appeals documents that I would cover that. Last night, Nick did do a short stream on it, but a lot of it was just simply, he went through kind of the first half of the document, which a lot of it was just review of what we already knew. So um, basically, he covered like the summary of the arguments and and some of the early parts of the opening statement of arguments and I don't remember the other term, but anyways, a lot of it was just simply reviewing, as part of the brief, kind of, you know, the the statement of facts and summary of the arguments, primarily what he went over. A lot of the stuff we already kind of knew. I think he'll get into the arguments and stuff more tonight. So I'm gonna push my video on that to Monday because probably after tonight we'll have a little bit more of an idea. A couple points that were made that he did make in terms of in terms of their arguments, like basically what Ty will be arguing, of course, is that it's reversible error that the judge dismissed the second amended petition if he can convince the appeals court to agree with him on that, then basically we are going back to trial. Um, so that's what I believe is likely to it's likely the way they're going to argue it. So um, Nick did have some criticisms of Ty, so it's not like you know contrary to Law Twitter and Kick Vic, and what they've been saying, it's like Nick is not running the case. He's not, he's indicated he would have probably framed it a little bit differently, but, he's not on the legal team. So, but with that, I just wanted to give you guys an update on that part of it. A lot of it was just review. We got basically the basic idea that Ty's going to argue that a lot of what was dismissed should have been considered and that the court did not properly do the TCPA based on um, basically whatever the definition, however you choose to define. I think the the state defined prima facie as one thing, and Judge Shep apparently may have defined it another. So, but anyways, we'll wait and see on that. So that's just a quick little update on that. But as I said, Nick will probably be going through the actual arguments in terms of what Ty will be arguing before the appeals court um, tonight. He'll be going over that portion of the document tonight. I'll watch that, and then I'll probably do a video on it on Monday. So with that little update aside, um, I decided to do something a little bit did do something a little more general today because it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot going on. I've already been covering, of course, some of the stuff that Kickback's been doing the last few weeks. Just check out my videos, Kitchener drama, um, Target Unlocked, and Kick Vic on the offensive, and you'll get a pretty good idea of what's some of the bigger stuff that they've been doing the last few weeks here. But today I wanted to talk a little bit more generally about something. The other day, a couple of days ago, I was watching. There was a stream or not a stream, but a video Tug did, that Umbrella guy that he did on, the money aspect of, basically like he was talking about how, um, social justice warriors, SJWs, basically were putting an end to the comic book industry, um, with their agenda. And he was showing the numbers, and he was showing the numbers for all these bestsellers. He was talking about the difference between like the units and the price, and some of those prices I'm looking at, I'm going, whoa, 9.99, 24.99, depending about what it is, graphic novel, comic, what have you. One of the comments I of course made to him was, because I myself you know looked up information on like older comics, particularly with DC, and I remember for like there was a period for 3 decades there from the throughout the golden age, from the 30s into the 40s and the 50s. The comics for a long time there were like 10 cents. And then even when I think in the early 60s, when they decided to increase the price, they only increased it by 2 cents. It was it was a slight increase to cover for more cost as the number of stories in the comics was going down. You know, back in the golden age, you'd actually have a situation where the page count was 64 pages, and you'd have like 20 or 30 stories at about 2 pages each on average. Some would have only 1 page, some would have like 3 pages. But as time went on, the story count lessened. The the um and and in many of those comics at that time were multi-issue arcs in which there'd be a part one, part two, part three. I remember. I think in I guess the two complete stories of Barry O'Neill were like in both 20 chapters each. So as time went on, of course, well, that was in the 30s, and then as you get into the late 30s, or well, we started seeing superhero comics with like, okay, so you had Detective Comics come out in, I think it was March of 37. And then you had, that was one of the first ones. Now that was still a couple years before, yeah, March of 30. That's still like a couple years before Batman debuted, and then you saw Superman being the first superhero to actually debut in Action Comics #1 in June of 38, cover date June of 38. And that's when you at that point they were like down to like five, um, maybe 5 or 6 stories. Well, actually, no, they were even more than that. I think they were maybe 8 or 9 in some cases. But but the story count would go down, the page count would go up. For a long time it was like 10 cents. So you could get you know, 10 cents a day would probably get you an entire. If comics were 10 cents a day, it'd probably get you like an entire stock of comics to read. But whereas most regular comics today, I think, are like 250. So 250 times $2.50, 10 cents. That's like 25 times or 250% increase right there. So I believe. But anyways, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about how things have changed over time. Now, granted, I'm 44, so I grew up primarily in the 80s and early 90s, basically about when my, time of growing up was, and even from then to now, now, granted, when I was a kid, I would be, obviously, you'd come home, okay, you get up in the morning, there'd be a cartoon block in the morning, and then when you get home, there'd be a cartoon block in the afternoon, and then, you had Saturday morning cartoons. Um, and then when you take breaks summer, you'd have like syndicated comedies throughout the day. Some of the some of the networks would have like game shows and soap operas. So, of course, with the advent of cable and stuff like that, then you got more expansive programming and the development. So basically, in my lifetime, I know a lot of things have changed. You know, you know, you, um, in entertainment, things have changed. In society, things have changed. Even our political discourse has changed. Um, like as a kid, I don't necessarily remember the animosity that seems to be prevalent in today's political. When we talk, like when I was a kid, it seemed more like we could agree to disagree, whereas now you can't. It's like if you don't agree with me, then you must be my enemy. And this is reflected in cancel culture as well, in terms of like, well, if you don't agree with me, you should be barred from the public square. You should be exorcised from the public square. You should be tossed out on your hind. And um, we've seen it. And for those of you who've been covering the Vic case, you've seen this. You know, as I alluded to my video from yesterday, and you know, now that we've seen the appellate briefs, we're seeing that again. They're not winning the narrative, so therefore, Kick Vic is. We've actually had somebody, and we have documented evidence here. And I would implore, those who got that evidence to send that to find out where this girl lives, send that information to the police, and let them know, hey, she made a threat. You know, that's just me. But anyways, just more to my reflections on how times have changed. When I was growing up, you could agree to disagree. You know, Reagan was called the great communicator. You know, he and Tip O'Neill was the Speaker of the House. He was a Democrat, but for his time, he's probably considered a liberal. You know, um, I'm thinking of some of the stuff that I watched in syndication, like growing up, and even some of which is still in syndication today. Shows like All in the Family, MASH, Little House on the Prairie. For one reason or another, a lot of these shows today would probably, they were if they tried to make them today with those sensibilities, they'd probably get, railed on, by a lot of these NPCs, SJWs, because um, for example, with All in the Family, right? Now you had Archie Bunker, who harkened back to, you would have called him a conservative, and Mike, his son-in-law Michael Stivic, played by Rob Reiner. Um, you know, he um, he was more liberal, more educated and stuff. And you'd see a lot of this stuff. And you'd see some of the same issues back then that you see today. You'd see some of the same arguments that we're having today, but they were still done more civilly. If they try to do All in the Family today, you know, Carol O'Connor would probably get the same treatment Roseanne did. You know, when they initially brought back Roseanne, and then all the controversy after when she was drunk. they would have probably gave Carol O'Connor the same treatment she got, even though, from what I understand, despite the fact he was playing kind of the lovable bigot, he was pretty liberal himself for the time. Um, so, the fact that they, if they did, like, for example, they did try to do All in the Family today, you know, they would have been like pitchforks and fire and pitchforks in front of his house constantly. There would have been like, and if he did buy that bar as he did in the later series, Archie Bunker's Place, they would have tried to cancel him on that too. You know, um, they tried to do something. Let's see, Mash. Well, I think Mash was a comedy that was morphed into a dramedy, um, and again, they touched upon a lot of like social issues that we're talking about today as well. But the way Mash presented it, it never was as in your face as they want it now. Many of these groups, like Black Lives Matter and Me Too, they're like up in your face. They're trying. It's like, again, if you don't agree with them, then you must be their enemy. We can't seem to agree to disagree. It's like, oh, you don't belong in this society if you don't agree with us. That's not how it works. It's not, we can be civil with our discourse, we can be civil in our discussions, we can be civil in our differences of opinion. But yet we just seem to like, if you don't agree with me, um therefore you're my enemy, therefore you must die. That's the mentality of a lot of people. That's the mentality of this whole society right now. Or I'm not okay, not the whole society, but a huge chunk of it. This mindset is reinforced by the mainstream media. It's reinforced by organizations like Black Lives Matter, like um, like Me Too. It's reinforced by this cancel culture. You know, I hearken back to simpler times when we could just simply agree to disagree. You know, and again, these mindsets, they're part of who we are and a part of who we are as a society. Um, and they filter into everything. They filter into our entertainment. They filter into politics. They filter into how we conduct ourselves. You know, um, and something to be mindful of. You know, just because there's a very loud minority out there banging drums and trying to force change on us, doesn't mean we have to, doesn't necessarily, the law is still on our side, you know, for the most part. Granted, at the rate we're going, it seems like we are going to end up in a civil war. I do believe that. It's human nature to want to fight back when you see somebody getting in your face. It takes a lot of strength to. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't a time to. There's, as it said, I believe in Ecclesiastes. There's a time and season for everything. There's a time to fight. And there's a time to, give up the fight. Right. Now, in this case, it's not. not to end the fight, but we can fight civilly. We can agree to disagree. We can have civil discourse. You know, that's pretty much what I wanted to say on the matter. Just I think we need to really go back to a simpler time when we weren't at each other's throats all the time. Now I know a lot of people say social media is part of the problem, which is true because you get have more people on social media. But yeah, with that all that being said though, I'm gonna move on now. I think I said enough of my piece there on that. So on this day in so as I said, today is Friday, February 21st, 2020. Let's see what's happened um on this date throughout Nietzsche history. Of course, first I'm going to do a couple birthday shout outs here. First off, I'd like to wish a happy 48th birthday to Doug Erholtz. Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Doug Erholtz, of course, is a anime dub voice actor. Um, like he's known as Gin Ichimura from Bleach, as well as Asuma Saratobi from the Naruto franchise, and as well as taking over the roles of the late Michael Lindsay. When he got sick and had to step down from those roles, he would take on, of course, the role in the latter part of Bleach. He'd take on the role of Kisuke Urahara and take on the role of Kankuro from Naruto Shippuden. So I'd like to wish a happy birthday, of course, to Doug Erholtz. A happy 48th birthday. Okay, moving on then to the next person. I would like to wish a happy 46th birthday to professional wrestler and Fox News commentator Tyrus. He turns 46 today. Known in professional wrestling for his time in the WWE as Brodus Clay, and then in Total Nonstop Action as Tyrus. He's also real name George Murdoch, but stage name Tyrus. I'd like to wish Tyrus a happy 46th birthday. Hope you and Doug have a good day today, guys. And last but not least, for this day in Nietzsche history, um, Marvel released onto newsstands on this date in 1995, so that's 25 years ago, the first issue of Fury of S.H.I.E.L.D. The short-lived series I believe, about 4 issues. The debut issue of Fury of S.H.I.E.L.D. Went on newsstands on this date in 1995. So, with all that being said, um, you guys can check the links below. My Discord's down there. If you want to check out my Discord, come join my Discord if you'd like. You can contact me directly through my Discord. Um, I'll usually get back to you. Um, also, also, I'm promoting a bunch of different dub companies because, as always, remember Funimation is not the only game in town. I'm still promoting the GoFundMe, Vic GoFundMe, as well as the Ortiz family GoFundMe. As always, guys, never feel like you have to donate. If you have the means to, and it's on your heart to do so, please consider donating. If you have already donated, please consider donating again. And if you cannot donate, and still help out the cause by sharing the link. You know, because after all, sharing is caring. You never know. Maybe somebody in your circle of friends might see it, and might want to decide they want to help. So it doesn't hurt to ask. And if you like this content, please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. I I always love the conversation with you guys. Of course, as long as they're civil and respectful, I will usually reply back pretty quickly. So, with that being said, I hope you guys will catch my VA premiere tonight. I'm featuring Houston-based voice actress Kira Vincent Davis, known for her work with ADV and known for her work with ADV and Sentai. I hope to see you guys there at the premiere. I hope to talk to you about that stuff. And if not, then I will see you on Monday. Bye.